The origins of Roman DNA take us back to a time long before Rome became the epicenter of a great empire. Thousands of years ago, the Italian peninsula was home to small communities of hunter-gatherers. These people lived simple lives, relying on the land and its resources. Their DNA reveals a story shared with other hunter-gatherers across Europe, showing how interconnected the continent already was, even in these ancient times. But everything changed around 9,000 years ago, during what historians call the Neolithic Revolution. This was when early farmers from Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, arrived in the region. They didn't just bring new crops like wheat and barley or animals like sheep and cattle. They brought something even more profound: their genes. The DNA of these farmers began to mix with the local hunter-gatherers, reshaping the genetic makeup of the area. This wasn't just a cultural transformation, it was a genetic revolution. Fast forward a few thousand years, and another shift occurred during the Bronze Age, around 5,000 to 3,000 years ago. This time, the genetic change came from the Ukrainian steppe. These migrants didn't only bring new tools and methods. They brought innovations that would redefine the ancient world: chariots, wagons, and advanced sailing technologies that made travel and trade more accessible than ever before. The influx of steppe ancestry added yet another layer to the genetic mosaic of the Italian peninsula. By the time Rome was founded, traditionally dated to 753 BCE, its population was already a mix of cultures and ancestries. The genetic signatures of hunter-gatherers, Anatolian farmers, and steppe migrants had combined to create something entirely new. Even in its earliest days, Rome wasn't just a place. It was a symbol of diversity, a living example of how migrations and cultural exchanges could shape the identity of a people. The foundation of Roman DNA tells a story of transformation, resilience, and interconnectedness. It reminds us that even in ancient times, people and their genes were not static. They were always moving, evolving, and adapting to the world around them. The origins of Roman DNA were just the beginning of a much larger story, one that would grow even more complex as Rome expanded and became a global hub of migration and cultural exchange. Rome's story is one of humble beginnings, yet its location on the Italian peninsula was always destined to make it extraordinary. The city's legendary founding in 753 BCE tells of a small settlement nestled on the banks of the Tiber River. But what set early Rome apart wasn't just its geography, it was its people. By this time, the population of Rome already reflected a fascinating blend of genetic ancestries from across the region. The Etruscans, Rome's northern neighbors, played a significant role in shaping the city's early cultural and genetic identity. Known for their advanced engineering and artistic prowess, the Etruscans left their mark on Roman architecture and traditions. But their influence wasn't limited to culture. Their genetic contributions merged with those of early Latins, laying the foundation for what would later be recognized as the Roman people. Another key influence on early Rome came from Greek settlers, who had established colonies in southern Italy. Their sophisticated ideas about governance, philosophy, and trade quickly spread northward. These interactions didn't just transform Roman society. They also enriched its genetic diversity. The Greeks brought with them not just knowledge but also lineages that became woven into the fabric of Roman DNA. Rome's strategic position played a crucial role in this diversity. Situated at a crossroads between Europe, the Mediterranean, and the Near East, the city naturally became a hub for trade and migration. Goods like olive oil and wine flowed through its markets, but so did people, craftsmen, farmers, and merchants from far-off lands, all seeking opportunities in this burgeoning city-state. As Rome grew, its genetic diversity only deepened. The city's openness to absorbing new people and ideas created a unique foundation. By the time Rome began its transition from a small town to a dominant force in the region, it already reflected a melting pot of ancestries. This diversity wasn't just a byproduct of its growth, it became one of Rome's defining strengths, fueling its creativity, innovation, and adaptability. The birth of Rome was not just the story of a city but of a living, breathing testament to the power of connection and exchange. Even in its earliest days, Rome symbolized a coming together of different cultures, lineages, and ideas. It was a city where the foundations of its DNA mirrored its destiny to become a center of power, culture, and influence that would change the course of history. As Rome evolved from a small city-state into a sprawling empire, its genetic story became even more remarkable. The Roman Republic, established in 509 BCE, marked the beginning of an era defined by expansion, conquest, and connectivity. With each new territory Rome absorbed, its people absorbed something in return: new cultures, new traditions, and, crucially, new DNA. At the peak of its power, the Roman Empire stretched across 3 continents: Europe, North Africa, and Asia. This vast territory wasn't just a political domain. It was a living network of migration and exchange. From the farthest reaches of Britain to the deserts of North Africa and the bustling markets of the Near East, people were on the move. Traders, soldiers, enslaved peoples, and artisans all made their way to Rome, bringing with them their unique genetic markers. This influx of people from diverse regions transformed Rome into the ancient world's most cosmopolitan city. Genetic studies reveal that during this time, the city experienced massive shifts in ancestry. A significant portion of Rome's population now traced its lineage to the Eastern Mediterranean and the Near East. The reasons for this were as varied as the people themselves. Some came seeking opportunity. Others were brought as part of the vast network of trade and conquest that defined the empire. Evidence of this exchange is not just in the DNA. Archaeological discoveries show the widespread influence of different cultures in Rome. North African pottery, Eastern Mediterranean jewelry, and goods from across Europe have been found in abundance, confirming the movement of people and their belongings into the heart of the empire. Even Rome's military campaigns contributed to this genetic diversity. Soldiers recruited from across the empire often brought their families or settled in new regions after their service, further spreading genetic traits. Meanwhile, enslaved people from far-off lands were brought into the empire's urban centers, including Rome itself, contributing to the city's ever-changing demographic landscape. Rome's connectivity was a double-edged sword. While it brought prosperity and growth, it also introduced challenges. Diseases traveled along the same trade routes as goods and people, and the city's growing population made it vulnerable to epidemics. Yet, even in the face of adversity, Rome's genetic mosaic continued to evolve. The expansion of the Roman Empire was not just a conquest of land but a conquest of ideas and identities. It transformed Rome into a genetic and cultural melting pot unlike any other in history. The DNA of its people reflected the vastness of the empire itself, a dynamic mix that mirrored the diverse territories under its control. Rome wasn't just a city. It was a living testament to the power of connectivity, migration, and exchange, setting the stage for the next chapter in its extraordinary story. As Rome reached the height of its power, it seemed invincible. Yet, even the greatest empires are not immune to challenges. Over the centuries, Rome faced turmoil that would not only reshape its society but also leave lasting marks on its genetic makeup. The story of this era is one of resilience, transformation, and adaptation. The decline of the Roman Empire, beginning in the 3rd century CE, was marked by a series of crises. Political instability, economic struggles, and external invasions chipped away at the empire's foundations. These events had a profound impact on Rome's population. Genetic studies reveal a noticeable shift during this period, as the city's residents began to show increased ancestry from Western Europe. This change reflects the movement of Germanic tribes, such as the Visigoths and Vandals, who played pivotal roles in Rome's history during its later years. But the turbulence didn't stop there. The Roman Empire's vast networks, which had once been its greatest strength, now became channels for widespread disease. Epidemics swept through the city, decimating its population and disrupting its once thriving society. These losses caused further shifts in the genetic makeup of the city, as survivors carried forward the traits of those who endured these harsh times. In 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire officially fell, but Rome's story didn't end there. The rise of the Holy Roman Empire brought new waves of migration from Central and Northern Europe. This period saw an influx of people with Germanic and Frankish ancestry, further diversifying the genetic landscape of Rome. The city, once a hub for the entire Mediterranean, now became part of a broader European context, reflecting the shifting power dynamics of the medieval world. Through all this upheaval, one thing remained constant: Rome's role as a crossroads for people and cultures. Even in its most challenging times, the city continued to attract individuals from diverse backgrounds, ensuring its genetic diversity persisted. The resilience of its population and its ability to adapt to changing circumstances became key to its survival. The turbulence of this era reshaped Rome, but it also laid the foundation for a new chapter in its history. The city's genetic story reflects not just the challenges it faced but the strength and adaptability of its people. Rome's ability to absorb, integrate, and evolve in the face of adversity is a testament to its enduring legacy as a melting pot of cultures and ideas. The diversity of its DNA is a reminder of how interconnected and resilient humanity can be, even in the most uncertain times. Roman DNA stands apart in the tapestry of human history. Few places on Earth have experienced the sheer scale of genetic exchange and diversity seen in ancient Rome. But what makes it so unique? The answer lies in Rome's unparalleled ability to connect and unify people across 3 continents. One of the most remarkable aspects of Roman DNA is its position as a genetic crossroads. Unlike other ancient cities, Rome wasn't isolated by geography or culture. Instead, it was a hub that linked Europe, the Near East, and North Africa. Over thousands of years, people from vastly different regions came together within its walls. This mingling of lineages wasn't just occasional. It was constant, creating a genetic mosaic that mirrored the empire's vast territories. What's truly extraordinary is how rapidly Rome's ancestry shifted over time. In just a few centuries, the genetic makeup of the city's population could change dramatically, reflecting the empire's political and cultural transformations. During the peak of the empire, Eastern Mediterranean and Near Eastern ancestry dominated. This wasn't surprising given the dense populations in those regions and their strong connections to Rome through trade, military campaigns, and migration. But the city's cosmopolitan nature didn't end there. Even before Rome's expansion, its genetic diversity was notable, with influences from Anatolia, the Ukrainian steppe, and neighboring regions like Etruria and Greece. As the empire grew, this diversity only deepened, turning Rome into a melting pot unlike anything the ancient world had ever seen. It wasn't uncommon for people from Africa, the Middle East, and Europe to live side by side, their lives and lineages interwoven. Yet, despite this constant flux, there's something even more fascinating about Roman DNA: its ability to maintain distinct regional identities. You might think that such widespread mixing would lead to a loss of genetic distinctions, but that wasn't the case. Many individuals who moved to Rome didn't stay permanently or reproduce there. Soldiers, traders, and enslaved individuals often traveled great distances but eventually returned to their places of origin, ensuring that Rome's influence didn't erase the genetic uniqueness of its territories. Rome's DNA is a testament to the city's role as a melting pot long before globalization. It represents the power of connection and the resilience of diversity. The fact that such a dynamic mix of ancestries could exist in one place, shaped by both cooperation and conquest, is what makes Roman DNA truly one of a kind. Even today, studying this genetic legacy offers insights into migration, cultural exchange, and human history. The story of Roman DNA is a reminder of how movement and mixing have always been at the heart of human progress, creating a shared history that transcends borders and eras. The story of Roman DNA offers more than just a glimpse into the past. It provides valuable lessons about migration, diversity, and the human experience. In studying the genetic history of Rome, we uncover patterns that are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. First, Roman DNA highlights the profound impact of migration on societies. People didn't just travel to Rome, they brought their cultures, ideas, and skills with them. These migrations weren't always voluntary. Some arrived as traders or settlers, while others were brought as enslaved individuals. Yet, together, they reshaped the city, making it a center of innovation, resilience, and growth. This mirrors modern global cities, where diverse populations create vibrant, interconnected communities. Another lesson from Roman DNA is the enduring strength of diversity. Rome's ability to thrive was rooted in its openness to people from different backgrounds. The city became a melting pot where languages, traditions, and lineages mixed, and this diversity fueled its success. It's a powerful reminder of the potential that comes from embracing differences rather than resisting them. But the Roman genetic story also shows us the limits of mobility. Despite the extensive migration during the height of the empire, distinct genetic differences across regions persisted. This suggests that while people traveled, many didn't permanently settle in new places or reproduce there. It's a reminder that migration patterns are complex and often shaped by political, cultural, and personal factors. Looking ahead, studying Roman DNA opens the door to even more discoveries. Beyond ancestry, researchers are beginning to explore how traits like height, lactose tolerance, and disease resistance evolved over time. For instance, how did living in a cosmopolitan and dense environment like Rome affect health and survival? These questions can teach us about our own genetic evolution and the challenges of urban living. Perhaps the most profound lesson from Roman DNA is how interconnected humanity has always been. The Roman Empire was a vast network that spanned continents, yet it functioned because of the movement of people and ideas. The genetic legacy of Rome reminds us that migration isn't new. It's a fundamental part of who we are. It's how cultures grow, societies adapt, and history progresses. As we reflect on the story of Roman DNA, it's clear that its lessons are timeless. Rome's diversity wasn't just its strength, it was its essence. In a world that often wrestles with questions of identity and belonging, the genetic history of Rome offers a hopeful message that diversity and connection have always been at the heart of human greatness. The genetic history of Rome is a story of transformation, connection, and resilience. From its earliest days as a gathering place for hunter-gatherers and farmers, to its rise as the capital of a vast and diverse empire, Rome's DNA tells a tale of how movement and mixing have shaped the human story. The city was a melting pot long before globalization, a place where the genes of Europe, Africa, and the Near East met and intertwined, creating a population unlike any other in the ancient world. As we've explored, Rome's diversity wasn't just a byproduct of its growth, it was its defining strength. The city thrived because it embraced new people and ideas, allowing its genetic and cultural mosaic to grow richer with each generation. And while Rome faced challenges, plagues, invasions, and the eventual collapse of its empire, its legacy endured. The DNA of its people remains a testament to how diversity can drive resilience and progress. So, what does this all mean for us today? Rome's genetic story reminds us that human history has always been about connection. Migration, cultural exchange, and diversity are not modern phenomena. They are woven into the fabric of who we are. In a world that often feels divided, the lessons of Roman DNA offer hope, a reminder that our shared history is one of unity through diversity. As you think about the story of Rome, consider this. What does your own DNA say about the journeys of your ancestors? How have the migrations and exchanges of the past shaped the world we live in today? If you found this exploration of Roman DNA as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories of our past. Together, let's uncover the connections that make us who we are. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next chapter of discovery.